Alright, hello and welcome to episode 2 of this series. I'm going to be going over a couple more things in this series, and we're going to be moving to intermediate maps. I actually just got done recording this for the first time, and it didn't actually work out. I have a new tool I wanted to show you guys, so I downloaded a different screen recorder, but it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. So what I'm going to be doing is playing the game and recording the game through the app. And then I'm going to have to splice in a different video of me doing the tool. So I apologize if the audio, my commentary here doesn't really match up with the motions of that, but I'm hoping to get close enough that it's going to still all make sense. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be using Gwendolyn, so that we're seeing the other hero besides Striker like last time. And we're going to be playing an intermediate map. So all the beginner maps from episode 1 when I did Monkey Lane, all of these maps are pretty similar. They're all pretty easy. So it should be pretty easy to use those sorts of ideas on that, or even using some of the ideas from this video to go back on the beginner maps. And I don't think it's really that useful to review them in much more detail. On the intermediate maps, I want to cover 2 or 3 of them. I'm not sure exactly what my plans are. Let me know if you would like to see anything specific. Most of these maps are pretty straightforward too, but I wanted to go over today Spice Islands, because that map is kind of unique. Spice Islands and Off the Coast, as well as Peninsula, are maps that have very wide bodies of water with either limited land to place the monkeys on or limited range that the monkey can have if it's a land monkey. So I want to go over Spice Islands because it is kind of unique in that regard. And then I'm probably going to also either go over Rake or Shoots, or both, just because those are kind of a bit different too, and those are challenging in their own way. Because there's two different directions the balloons come in, and the way you have to think about your setup changes a little bit because of that. So on this video, we're going to be going over Spice Islands, and later in the video, around round 42 or so, I'm going to be going over an Excel spreadsheet that I've been using in the past, and that I've put on Dropbox, which on Dropbox the link is in the description below, so check that out if you want to try to use it. I'm going to be again splicing in a video of me doing that to supplement this one. So we're going to start with this. We're going to be doing a water start. There are 2 different water starts that you can use. You can either do a sub or a boat. For the purposes of this, I'm going to use subs because I personally like subs more. They're a bit more reliant because of the way that they target. So I'm going to put a sub right here where it's hitting 2 parts of the track, and we're going to be doing a dart monkey. I'm going to put the dart monkey on last, so it's always shooting into the balloons, which means that it's going to more often get both of its pops instead of one when it's chasing the balloons. And it just helps guarantee that we're thinning out the balloons so that the sub can clean it up. And so we're going to go ahead and start this. I'm going to make sure it's on auto start. And the other thing with the water starts, there are different variations. Usually you're going to get like 2 dart monkeys and a sub, or if you can get 2 subs and a dart monkey, if you can, like right now I can buy this, if you can live to buy the sub, I would recommend doing that, just because the sub, because of the way the darts are targeting, and they always sit kind of like a ninja, it's much more valuable money-wise to spend that extra money, because you're going to end up buying another sub later on anyway, because we're actually going to be doing a sub commander strategy in this example, so we're not wasting any income on that. But even when you would have had a dart monkey sub, I would still put another sub instead, just because it's going to be better as the games go on, and it's worth that $80, or it's like $130 difference, whatever it is. So when you do a sub start, usually you're going to go straight for airburst starts. That's usually the safest strategy to go for, just because the airburst starts are going to be able to survive the yellows and pinks, and you can always get the upgrade right before they come in. So as long as you're your strategy is safe and your positioning works with the map, then this will pretty much always get you to live through those rough rounds in the teens. And on this map, it's actually going to be really close, but it's going to be just barely enough. Sometimes you might buy your hero instead, or you might buy, like a ninja, or it just really depends on what the map is and what works, by trial and error and whatever your preference is strategy wise. So that's what I'm talking about right there. It gets real close, but because the shots will curve back in. The double sub is really reliant on cleaning that up. So now we're pretty much set for a couple turns. I'm going to be getting a Gwendolyn, and I'm going to also get a boat. So the boats are going to always be really strong towers as long as they can hit two directions. So for example, if I put this boat here and I put them on last, which I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to get Gwendolyn first. Then the boat's going to always be shooting in two directions basically the whole time, which anytime the map geometry will allow that, you're going to want to do it. And I want to pause real quick with setting the Gwendolyn down because I want to explain sort of my thoughts on this. It's not, I'm not in the majority, I don't think, with this line of thinking, but I think it's the correct way to view Gwendolyn. People tend to try to put Gwendolyn where, let's say these trees were in here. You might try to put the Gwendolyn right here because that's going to maximize your number of towers that are going to get powered up, which would be great, but there are trees there in this case. So generally, you want to use Gwendolyn one of two ways. You either want them in the front because you want them to pop leads early, or you want them in the back so that you can throw the cocktail ability further back in the map to catch balloons. I do like to use Gwendolyn for lead popping power, and you have two options really with the setup. You can either set it all the way over here, which is what I prefer to do, but you might be tempted to do something like this, so that you're hitting the leads right here in the when they come in. But the reason why I don't like doing this, where you have your Gwendolyn hitting multiple sides of the track, which is normally a good thing, is because when she throws her cocktail, it's much less consistent with if you were to put her where she only hits one part of the track, or similarly back here where she just hits this line of the track. Because when you put her here, when you throw the cocktail, there is a chance it's going to go here, and there's a bigger chance it's going to go here. But in the case if you have ceramics coming in and they're right here, if you throw the cocktail and it goes here, you're good to go. If it goes here, you might lose that round randomly for whatever reason because the cocktail didn't go where you wanted it to. So in my opinion, it is better to sacrifice the slightly increased popping power range of the main attack for the consistency of this cocktail throw. You could also put her, like here. It's all kind of the same idea. But I'm going to put her here so that she does power up the boat that I'm going to be putting down. And the other thing with this placement is that she can still hit Moabs. So when the Moabs come in, because they're so wide, she's still going to hit the Moabs. I'm only sacrificing the main attack on like a lead balloon, 3 seconds sooner than she would have. But that's really not much that you're sacrificing in the larger picture of what's going on the map. So I just wanted to kind of go over that briefly, and I'm going to go ahead and get the advanced intel rolling here to make sure we clean up any balloons that are going to leak. And Gwendolyn's nice because she gives you indirect camo detection. So for round 24, I'm going to get I can camo detect that indirectly. I'm going to also just use this because the dart buggy is an efficient way to give me very wide camo detection with the subs. But just be mindful that Gwendolyn is very useful, as she's one of the heroes that can indirectly assist with camo balloons pretty efficiently through the upper 50s. And then that's when you got to really start getting good camo detection. So I'm going to get a boat and I'm going to put it right here. And the reason I'm putting it here is that if I put this on last, it's going to always shoot in this orientation, which is going to basically mean that it's always double doubling its popping power. And I'm going to get hot shots and faster shooting and double shots. So this is a super efficient tower for what we paid for it. And it also helps with this whole, Gwendolyn can't pop the leads, well, the Buccaneer can. So it's really not that big of a deal at the end of it all. But so we have that done now, and I need to keep getting ready for this Moab that's going to be coming out. So I'm going to upgrade this to a 3rd tier, to a triple guns, and I'm going to also get this guy up to triple guns. And when I get around round 42, after I beat round 42, I'm going to pause the game as far as auto start, and I'm going to try my best to watch the pre-recorded video while I'm doing this, so that I can kind of keep pace with whatever I'm doing there, because I don't want this to get too out of sync. It was really unfortunate that the recording didn't really work out the way it should have, and I'm having to redo this now for quality reasons. It was the other recorder that I'm using made the game really skippy, and I didn't want that drop in quality for the main game that's going on. So we're going to keep getting this up. So we have two of these guys, and we're going to clear these trees out and put an alchemist on them. One thing that's interesting, once you do get the camo detection from the village on these guys, they actually can't shoot camos over here. I don't know why. I think it's kind of weird, but you do have to still have a camo detection in the range that is not their own range to see camos. So it's not really worth getting a village over here anytime soon, just because it doesn't actually increase their range all that much. So what I'm going to end up doing instead is getting a ninja monkey, so that this is helping to extend our camo detection all the way to the front of the map, to help get through these rounds. And I'm going to get this guy up to stronger stimulant, and then once we have this set up right here, this is a pretty strong series of towers. Like, we can get pretty far right now with the towers that we have. So this is where this tool comes in. The tool is a Excel spreadsheet, and basically there's a chart, which you could look this chart up on your own too, somewhere, where you get the amount of income you get for each round. So you can look up, how much money do I make on round 43, how much do I make on round 16, things like that. So basically all I did was I took the chart data, and then I made a little calculator alongside it, so you don't have to look it up, and it can also help run some useful numbers as well. So there's 3 sections, which are the 3 different shades of blue here. I'm going to pull it up. The first section basically tells you how much money is on a given round from 0 to that round. So I'm going to use 98 in the example. You type in 98, and you can see that you have $164,000 that you can use. So that is your budget. That is your deflation budget, sort of. And what you can do with that is, if you're struggling to beat round 98 or around 90, whatever round it is, as long as you know how to get to round 80 or so, then you can go into sandbox mode. You can set up your towers as if it was deflation. You know where they need to go to get to round 80, and now you know how much money you have between round 80 and round 95 or whatever round you're going for, to see what you can build, and then run round 98 to see if it works. If it didn't work, just keep trying, keep playing around with it until you figure out something that does work. So if you keep getting stuck on a single round like that, that is a useful way to do that, and I would recommend looking into doing that if you're struggling on certain maps for that reason. The second section is something that you can use when you're playing the game. It helps you know what you can do. So I want to give sort of an example, which is not our game, but so for example, let's say we're on round 35. We know we don't have enough defense to beat the Moab on round 40, and we also don't have very good camo detection. Our camo detection is kind of, it's going to barely get us through round 37. So we know that between 35 and 42, we need to be able to beat the Moab and get a village with the camo detection. So what this part does is you can type in 35, which is the last round you beat, to 41. It's going to tell you how much money you have at the end of 41. And then you can subtract whatever you need. So you need a village with camo detection. And if you do the math here, you get about $5,700 is needed for $5,700 is generated between those rounds. And if you do the village math, that's going to leave about $2,000 to build whatever you need for the Moab. So that means that you can spend up to $2,000 plus whatever your income is at that particular moment to beat the Moab, and you will have enough money for that village. So it kind of lets you plan ahead. If you're kind of getting into a bind, you're like, oh no, I thought I would have more money at this moment. So you can kind of plan ahead a couple rounds without having to go home and go into sandbox mode, because that will ruin your black border. So these are really tools to help you not have to go back. You can plan ahead whenever you're kind of foreseeing a road bump that's coming up that you didn't expect. The last one, which is the one that we're using for this game, lets you plan your savings for a late game tower. And so what I'm going to do specifically is pull up the sub. So I need to get, I want to get the sub commander, which is $27,000. And I got to get armor piercing darts, which is 30,240. So it's about $30,240 that I got to save up for. So my question is, well, I know this defense is pretty good. I know it can probably beat up to round 61, 62. So can I save up from right here to 60 or 62 and have that money? Or is it going to be more like around 67 and I need to build more stuff, which is going to affect how much money I have? So typing this into the calculator, round 42, I'm on round 42. I just beat round 42 right here, whatever round you're sort of paused at. And the amount of money that I need subtracting my income from that 32,000 is 29,124. And then once I click calculate on the program, that tells me that it's going to be around 57. So I'm going to have that defense by 57, and because I'm confident and I know that this is a good setup for getting to round 60, then I can save up for it, and I can be confident that I can save up for it. So you don't have to worry and kind of play it by ear and then get caught, on a round that you thought you were going to have it by that round, but then you didn't. And so if you wanted to ever try out or use this tool, it's useful. It's not hard to use, and it can help you either plan ahead or figure out what to do in the moment whenever you're kind of falling behind where you thought you should have been, and to plan how to move forward without having to go home, and then that makes you lose your non-stop status for the black border game. So I'm sure that didn't line up at all with the info that I'm going to be inserting here, but hopefully it makes enough sense, or if you can just hear what I'm saying and kind of look back at the numbers, it should make sense what all this is kind of entailing. But I'm going to go ahead now and continue the game as it was. So I'm going to put this back on auto start. So basically, we're just waiting. That calculator said that I should have the income by round 57, so I should be good to go. Then just waiting. I'm going to go ahead and get this because it's one of the upgrades, and then I should have 27,000 by round 57, and then it should be pretty easy from there. One of the ways you'll normally do this is like if you are having to save up through around like 81, because that's when things get scary. Like if you're trying to save from like around 67 to 81, 82, you need to know if you're going to have that Comanche commander or that perma spikes by a certain round, just to be safe, because you don't know when it is without doing that calculation, and if you're just guessing, then you're putting yourself in a position where you might lose, because things are happening too fast, and you might overlook something. One thing that I can say about the defense that we're doing right now is that our camo detection is pretty good, but it's not perfect. We do still need to use Gwendolyn to make sure that the camo ceramics are just fine and everything. I just want to point out here, see on 49, that rush, which is a pretty decent rush, it didn't even get 4 inches into this map. So that's how you can know, for example, at round 49, that this defense can handle round 60. Because if it's handling that strongly, then it should be able to handle pretty much everything, before round 63 just as well. I'm going to throw this just to be safe because I don't know for sure if it was going to do it, but it's handling them just fine. So we're still good to go. We're on track with what we're aiming for. And but yeah, you have these benchmark rounds. Round 49 gives you an idea of how good your defense can handle, through round 60. Round 63 gives you an idea of how well your defense can handle through round like 73, 74, assuming you have reasonable popping power. Because popping a BFB right here is just delaying a ceramic rush. So if you're just killing the ceramics, no problem. Then popping a BFB here shouldn't be a problem either because you can handle the ceramics in that defense. So you kind of have these benchmark rounds that give you an idea. I'm gonna probably throw my cocktail here, or it looks like it's still handling it just fine. So yeah, we're at the 57, so I should have 27,000 at the end of this round, which is what we were talking about. And there it is right there, 27. I got my sub-commander. Sub-commander, for anyone who doesn't know, you get extra pierce and damage to all the subs in this radius, which is really strong. Damage means that you're doing 2 layers. So when you would pop a blue down to a red, it pops to nothing. A green would pop down to a red, and so on. And then the pierce lets you obviously pierce further into the grouped balloons or Moabs. So that's a really strong effect for that. One thing that I do want to get, because I want to make sure on round 63, I'm going to get 1 recursive cluster right here, this is a really good spot for it. Just to make sure that we're not getting caught with our pants down on round 63. I'm pretty sure that this, building a couple more subs, this is more than enough for round 63, but you always want to be prepared for this sorts of rounds. And actually, I'm going to pause this real quick because Gwendolyn is also a really good hero for round 63 as long as the map is relatively long, or you have good vision on the map, which we do. So Gwendolyn's abilities together can cover round 63 in the sense that you can throw a cocktail at the first wave. You can then use the level 10 on the second wave, and then your cocktail will be back for the third wave. Now, that's not a guarantee that it's going to get healed. Like, Gwendolyn doesn't just kill that on its own. He does kill the second one because of his second ability being so strong, but that doesn't mean that your first and third wave are just going to be handled, no problems. But just to show you this timing through it there, and see, if I had put the range over here, it might have threw it over there, and it's harder to time time everything if there's more than one section of the track for Gwendolyn. So we got the second one now, which we're handling this pretty well. So we have a pretty good setup, and then we have the third one, which we're going to throw right there. So Gwendolyn is also pretty good about that. It's just the only problem is if the map is really short, then this doesn't have the time to pop all the balloons for you, like we were talking about. And the cocktail can only clean up or damage the ceramics, and you have to have good cleanup in the back. So it's good, but it's not flawless for round 63. So I'm going to go ahead and buy a village because I need to get these subs in the range of both the village, and they have to be in range of him. So they have to be in this mutual range, which basically means they have to be in the range of the village, because this more or less overlaps that other range. So I'm going to get a bigger radius, and we're going to start just spamming the base subs until I'm out of space, because you more or less want to just use this, as much as you can. And there we go. And with the commander, basically, if you can get somewhere in the 7 plus, 7 being kind of a low number, but if you can get 7 to in this case I'm going to get probably about 12 subs, then the sub commander does some pretty serious work on the balloons. It's a really powerful strategy. Why is this not? There it goes. Okay. So I just want to make sure that this is in the range. Gotta watch this range. What's his small range? Okay, so this is Safeway and this is Safeway in there, and that should be in there. Okay, so I'm gonna also go ahead, just for safety reasons, get the camo detection on this. So I'm just gonna start upgrading these guys. I'm gonna get triple shots on all of them first, and then we'll start talking about armor piercing shots after that. And the next round that's kind of giving you a hint of where your defense is round 76. So we're coming up on that. How quickly your defense just kills that wave is indicative of how strong it is currently, or give you an idea of what maybe you need to do, or what part of the map needs some kind of additional coverage. Because we're using subs, coverage isn't really the problem in this case. It's more about the sheer popping power. But again, this sub commander is really strong. Getting damage in pierces. It's basically that's what the alchemist does. So you're getting alchemist on sub, and you're getting all your subs basically getting an alchemist boost on top of the actual alchemist, which it already is really good with just the normal alchemist type boost. So it got here without any real problems. Basically got to the recursive, and that's when any kind of big dense rush is going to kind of get cleaned up by this, so that the subs can work on just popping the Moab. That's kind of thins out the density of that rush, and then these clean up the rush. That's kind of the idea behind the combination of those towers. And so we're just going to keep buying these guys up, and more or less we're done. We have to still think about what we're going to do on the unique ending rounds 98, 99, and 100. But besides that, we just need to get a Monkey Intelligence Bureau, so that DDTs aren't a problem. And at this point, everything that's not those last 3 rounds and not DDTs are already good to go to kill them all. 78 is another good round, which I wasn't even watching, but I didn't even notice any problems. And 78 is one of those rounds that can really be difficult a lot of times because of that really dense ceramic rush. And so we're almost done getting all these triple guns. And after I get that, I'm going to get another alchemist next to this one. And then I'm going to get my village upgraded. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to put this infographic here or not, but I'm going to try to. Another way you can try to do the math on this is you want to get these $3,200 upgrades, but you want to know how many you want to get, because you also know that for those unique rounds, look at that, it leveled up, cool. For those unique rounds, 98, 99, and 100, you want to get a Sabotage Ninja Monkey. You want to get a Shattering Shell, some Mortar, and you want to get an Alchemist cocktail, or not cocktail, Unstable Concoction. So you can either try to just buy those as they come, and usually playing it by ear is going to work. But if you did want to plan, or if the map is hard enough and you're struggling to get through the rounds, you can also plan this. And I'm going to not say the numbers as much because I don't know exactly what the numbers are, and it's going to be too hard to coordinate this. So basically, I'm going to pause this at the end of this round for just a moment, and I'm going to just talk about what I'm doing, and I'm going to be using the numbers, and you'll kind of see the numbers come in, and hopefully that'll coordinate the video segment that's going to be inserted with the audio a little bit better. So I know I need an MIB and a jungle drums. So right now, my defense is set. I just need to buy a sabotage ninja. I need to buy a mortar monkey, shattering shells, and I need to buy a alchemist concoction. I know the sabotage is going to be about $5,000. That's the upgrade. So let's just say it's 6,500 with the upgrades I haven't already bought. I know that the shattering shell is going to be about 13,000 ish. So that's about $20,000 for those, and then the alchemist is going to be about $3,000. So I know that I'm looking at about 22,000. I don't know exactly what that number was that summed to. So we're looking at about $22,000 that I need to have reserved, and I want to put every other dollar that is not that 22,000 into the sub. So I'm going to buy these armor piercing upgrades. So I'm going to be able to calculate how many of those I can buy. My guess is going to be like 7 or 8 of them, and then I'm going to start upgrading them. So I'm going to go ahead and play on this now that I kind of walked through that audio, and so there's going to be a video supplementing what I just said there. So the numbers will work out to whatever they are. I'll figure that out after the video and record that, and then I'm going to buy that many of these upgrades, and I'm going to actually do it the way that you don't use the sheet. I'm going to play it by ear. I'm going to buy the upgrades I know I have to buy first, but it's more showing that you could have, because I don't need these upgrades until 97, 98. So maybe I need these armor piercing darts from 89 to 96. You know, who knows? Maybe that's required. So buying these in the opposite order would actually be detrimental to me if that were the case. And so planning ahead can help save you from these random rounds that might have otherwise killed you because you wanted to buy first and ask questions later, versus just doing that little planning ahead of time, like I was just doing the audio for. At this point, I'm not going to get the concoction because you only need that for round 100. I'm going to start upgrading the subs that are being boosted by the monkey, the alchemist. Those are going to be the first ones that I upgrade. I will say this though about the ninja sabotage. The other hard round for DDTs is 95. So if you're not confident about your DDT popping power, you might get this at round 95 ahead of time, because then you can sabotage 95. It's going to be back by 99, which is the other round you use it for, and then you have the shattering shells for 98. So I'm going to use it here just because it's a good practice to do that kind of planning. And you want to wait just a little bit on round 95 because there's a lot of DDTs and you want to get the full time going. So we're going to do that and throw all of our stuff at this, and we should be good to go. We just ripped right through them just fine there. So I have the shattering shells. I'm going to actually put the shattering shells up here because I know that the first there's a oh my god reinforcement coming up, and it's gonna probably pop around here, and I need to start buying some of these armor piercing shots just so we're popping that a bit better. So these are getting kind of far because I haven't been upgrading my piercing shots. So where's this gonna get? It's gonna come right where I thought it was. Yeah, that's about right. It was a little bit sooner than I thought it was gonna be. And then once we get that, we put this back at the front so that we're immediately getting these guys hit at the beginning, and that should be good to go. I just need to get my concoction going, and besides that, there's not really much else to do on this one. It's going to wrap up here shortly. Again, you want to sabotage as soon as you see that first DDT so that it clumps them together. It makes it much easier to pop them. And I'll just go ahead and get this guy upgraded while we have the money to do so. And this should be more than enough popping power on this. Yeah. And so that's the sub-commander strategy. It's a really good strategy for water-dominated maps as long as you can get a good number. What do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had 12 here. As long as you're getting 8 to 10, that's kind of what you need to do. We could have gotten a few more here, but they would have been out of the range of this. So just depending on the layout of the map, you're a little bit limited with what you can do. But yeah, 10 to, about 10 is a good number for this to definitely be worth it. So we're gonna hit free play so we can get the instant monkey. And besides that, I wanted to ask you guys if you had a preference on this this next video that I'm gonna do. Again, I want to do at least one of either rake or shoots. They're kind of different because shoots is 2 directions, but it's always only 1 direction at a time. Rake is 2 directions, which certain towers are not nearly as good when they're having to divert their attention between 2 directions, and so you gotta be a little bit more careful with the way you're approaching the strategy. So if you guys have any preference between these two, let me know, and I'll take that into consideration. But besides that, I'll catch you around on the next video, and hopefully you took something from it. Take care.